Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this whiteboard video where I'm helping you move through your negative emotions toward your specific person while manifesting them. Because I know what it's like. They've done something, they've really ticked you off, and you want to give them the business, but you know that from a manifestation perspective, that isn't helpful and that's not getting you to where you want to go. So, how do you navigate through those emotions, those feelings, those thoughts, while still being the best you can be for your manifestation? Well, that's what we're going over today. And I have 3 pointers that I want to make to help you with this. Now, this is the first whiteboard video I've done in a while. Please bear with me on the botched setup for now. It will be improved for the next whiteboard video. And if you would like your video idea done in this presentation style, do let me know and I can accommodate. But for now, drop me a like, drop me a comment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you want one-on-one help, check the website, which is linked below. But let's get into it. So as I said, 3 pointers. And the first one is going to be focused more on the 3D, and that is going to be the idea of poison. Poison. Now you're probably sitting there thinking, Matthew, poison, what are you even on about? And 3D, aren't we supposed to ignore it? In a perfect world, yes, just ignore the 3D, just focused on your desired end. That will manifest it regardless of what you're experiencing. But from a more human perspective, it's not always the easiest thing. You've been left on red, you get those feelings internally, you get angry, you get sad, or you've seen something on social media you don't want to see, you get angry, you get sad. It's not always easy to just move through and ignore the 3D. So that's why we want to have ways to actually handle the 3D so you can have this human experience while reminding yourself of your internal God as best as possible. So the first point is poison. Now, poison, the reason why I've chosen the word poison for the first pointer is because there's a statement that I really love, and it slips my mind who quoted this, but definitely add it to your personal inventory, mental inventory. Resentment is like drinking poison and hoping the other person dies. All you are doing is harming yourself while holding on to those emotions. Yes, people can do things genuinely by accident, and of course, from a manifestation perspective, we know that we're creating the things that we experience. But humor me for a second. If someone's done something to you, unless it's a genuine accident, by which point they'll probably try making up to you at some point very shortly anyway. But if they've done something to you, chances are they don't care. Or at least chances are they don't understand the significance of what they've done to you. And therefore, your anger to them may be unjustified, but to you, very much justified, but very much harming yourself more than anything. Because you holding on to anger while they don't care, or sadness while they don't care, is only hurting you. It's keeping you stuck in that loop. It's keeping you replaying those scenarios in your head over and over and over again, which is only harming you. And that brings me on to this imagery here. Resentment, sad face, a perfectly drawn bottle of poison, and I don't want to hear anything otherwise. Drinking the poison, keeping them looped, keeping their stomach churning, painful, acid, burning, ouchie, ouchie, sad face. And then over here, we've got letting go, sad face, chain being broken. And then down here, we've got the B word. Very important B word. Stick out for that. So you need to let go of that pain, that anger, that sadness, that fear, that doubt, that disgust if they've done something. Now, I'm not saying you need to let go and forgive them for their benefit. Absolutely not. They're an asshole. They've done something to hurt you. You're not forgiving them for them. You're forgiving them for you. Because the more you hold on to these pains, these feelings, these negative states, not only are you delaying your manifestation further, as we will get onto in point 2, don't you worry, but you're making your every day worse. Each day that you keep going back to how angry you are, how sad you are, how pained and victimized you are, you're reliving that circumstance. And your mind doesn't know what's a memory and what's truth, what's real and what's fake. So when you bring up that event, not only do you bring the emotions back up with them, you also, and I think we can all agree that we do this, it's just a human endeavor, you then take that scene and build on it. Maybe you further the argument. Maybe you say everything you wished you had said and you get angrier. Maybe if you've got a really bad self-concept or just like really bad stories, you imagine them saying worse things to you than what they actually said, just to really accentuate the truth of those negative stories. So what you do is you bring up those emotions and you further amplify them. All the while, your person is sitting there, la-di-da, I don't care. You're sitting there beating yourself up in pain. So let go of them for your benefit. And there's a couple of ways you can do this. First and foremost, breath work. Breath work I recommend all the time on this channel. I know you're probably getting sick of it, but it's because it's so amazing. And the reason why breath work is because breath work, deep, deliberate breathing through the nose, helps get you engaging the parasympathetic nervous system. Now, for a little bit of context, and I won't go too far into this, your ego is alive during high beta. Ego most active during high beta. Deep breathing, and I suppose as well, that associates the sympathetic, I'm just going to put simp nerves just because, yeah. So the sympathetic nervous system is active during high beta, during ego, during fight, flight, or freeze, which is essentially what you go into when you're building up all of these negative states. Breath work, on the other hand, helps engage the alpha brainwave length, which is associated with lessened ego. So we'll just cross that out. And parasympathetic nervous system. Just gonna put para nerve. Can you see that down there? Yeah, you can. So ego is highest during high beta, which is associated with which activates the sympathetic nervous system, which is associated with fight, flight, or freeze. Your body in those moments quite literally feels in danger, like it's running away from a lion or something that's trying to hurt it, because it doesn't know the difference between a genuine threat or a perceived threat. Whereas the alpha brainwave length is associated with the parasympathetic nervous system, which is associated with rest and digest, calmness, peace, relaxation, all those good things. And the ego is a lot more shut off. So by doing deep breath work, deep breathing, in through the nose, fill the belly, out through the mouth, and really circulating that air, you take yourself out of high beta and aid yourself in placing in alpha. Now, when you do that, you're actually helping to shut off the words of your ego a little bit more. Obviously down here, shut off, which puts you in a calmer state. Now, in calmer states, you obviously are not in fight, flight, or freeze, and subsequently, whatever it was that was affecting you mentally in that moment will be much more diminished, opening you up to then introduce new states of consciousness through new thoughts. So, for example, let's say that they did something that hurt you and made you feel unsafe. During high beta and ego activation, that feeling of unsafe is very raw, very real in that moment, because your mind is literally feeling like you are in danger. It does not feel safe, despite it being a perceived threat of something that happened in the past. The past, present, and future are not separate entities to the mind, and it doesn't know what is a real threat and a perceived threat. So it feels like you are right there about to die. As dramatic as it sounds, it's why we struggle to get out of spirals. So you've done your breath work, you've come out of high beta and into alpha, your parasympathetic nervous system is active. The subconscious mind, I'll just put that there, subconscious mind is now more receptive because the subconscious mind opens up in those brainwave lengths, alpha, theta, and delta, which now allows you to then take yourself out of that unsafe space and remind yourself that you are safe, which could be your affirmation in that moment. I am safe. I am secure. I feel happy and content. I forgive person. I allow myself to be happy. Whatever it is in that moment, you can then replace that unsafe feeling with a new one, or that disgusted feeling with a new one, with that whatever feeling with a new one. So by entering into better brainwave lengths, now you're going to have to bear with me while I take about an hour to rub this off with the back of the pen. By entering better brainwave lengths, you basically open yourself up to be able to better insert new stories into the subconscious mind so it can perceive that event differently. Because what's happening is due to your current stories, which obviously created that circumstance in the first place, due to those current stories, your thoughts are in alignment with them. You're identifying with lack of safety because lack of safety is exactly what you have internalized. So by doing that, you quite literally aid yourself in replacing those stories, aid yourself in coming out of those negative states in that moment, aid yourself in your manifestation. So that's the first thing. Now, the second thing that you can do specifically for point number one, I feel like this video is going to be very long, so I hope you've got your popcorn. We got the B word. Now, stare at the back of my head for a second. That B word is boundaries. Now, boundaries is a bit of an oddly taboo subject in the law of assumption community. Some coaches say, just ignore it, just affirm, just live in the end. And then others, such as myself, say, where necessary, boundaries are necessary. How do we set boundaries correctly? Boundaries should be set, in my opinion, when not setting boundaries is harmful for your self-concept. If you feel like not saying something, not standing up for yourself is actually doing a disservice to your self-concept and actually more harmful for your sense of self. I wish I'd said that. Why am I too scared to say that? Why do I value them more than myself and things like that? Then in those moments, set that boundary. Because boundary setting is actually self-concept affirming. Setting boundaries actually helps you build a better self-concept. Now, we can all agree that self-concept is very foundational beneath this manifestation process. But what we're doing when we're holding on to this resentment is we're basically reliving that event over and over and over and over again for various reasons. Sometimes it's to make ourselves feel sad because that accentuates our stories. Sometimes it's to give them the business because we feel like we want to, but we don't have the balls to do so to speak, because of our self-concept. So by actually setting the boundary, what you're doing is you're helping to complete that loop. Because you're sort of, let's rub off some of this for now. You're stuck here, for example. You've got your start point story. This is where they've hurt you. You're continuing on going over because your mind is trying to complete that loop, but it can't. The circuit isn't complete. By setting the boundary, you are helping to complete that loop. Because you're either standing up for yourself, which is, your mind when it's angry and it's fighting it, you're standing up for yourself, or you are helping to shift those self-concept stories and basically saying, no, I'm no longer that scared little boy or girl. I am going to stand up for myself. I am willing to lose them as long as I don't lose myself. You are completing that cycle. When you can do that, that is when your mind starts actually working for you. That is when things really start picking up for you. But how do we set boundaries correctly? Because there's a right way and there's a wrong way. There's a table in my way, so I can't really write normally. So you have to forgive the fact that some of the writing is skew-iffy. The F word. Or variations of it. This is going at it just gung-ho, effing and blinding, telling them they ain't shit, telling them their mama ain't shit, telling them that you could have a new one of them in a week. No. And the reason why no is, from a personal perspective, not very gentlemanly, and from a feminine perspective, not very graceful. If I ever receive a message like that from someone, like let's say that I'm dating someone and I receive one of those messages, even if I did something wrong, I've done these things, I've been a bad person in the past, we all have, that is immediately I dodged a bullet. Because if someone does get hurt and they cannot conduct themselves in a graceful way, to me, that screams insecurity, that screams negative stories that they need to work through. I don't like it when I receive it, so I very much will not be doing it myself, if that makes sense. And it's also not actually helping your self-concept. Because all you've done is you've given into those old stories and channeled them in the form of anger. The wound of not being good enough has flowed in anger. The wound of being abandoned has flown in anger. And you're looking externally and saying, you. And yes, it very much may well be, I think that sentence was right, their fault. Absolutely. But when this is self-concept, we need to conduct our self in a manner that is self-affirming. Telling them their mama ain't shit is not self-affirming. That's just channeling your insecurities or your negative stories into them through anger. What is self-concept affirming is I statements, I insert this statement, insert your choice, basically. Now, what does that mean? I do not like, let's say, for example, that they had a really bad day at work. You know, you're in a relationship for the argument of this discussion. They've had a really bad day at work. They've come home and taken it out on you. I do not appreciate the way you spoke to me when you came home from work. Self-affirming. I'm standing up for myself. I don't appreciate this. And then you could say more if you wanted to. This is just a quick example. I don't appreciate the way you spoke to me at home. It made me feel like one of your co-workers that you're angry with as opposed to your partner, for example. I statement. This statement would be, this is what I would like to happen going forward. So in the future, if you've had a bad day at work, drop me a text so I can sort of know to give you a little bit of space. If there's anything particular you'd like, such as, a bath run, for example, I can do that. This is what I would like to happen next. And then your choice is basically leaving it up to them. Now, of course, this is 3D focused. I understand that. I've spent 20 minutes nearly talking about the 3D, but this is a long presentation video. You wanted them, you're getting them. Your choice is essentially saying, and I'm not going to beg otherwise. And this obviously then will lead into point 2, where you can ensure that you get the outcome that you want through manifestation. Don't worry. But your choice is basically, I feel this way due to X circumstance. This is what I would like to happen going forward. And if it doesn't happen, I'm going to walk away. Obviously, you don't have to then put that ultimatum in the boundary, because that's kind of setting an unwritten contract, so to speak. And that almost accentuates the idea that it's not going to have your way. This is with the understanding that this is a healthy relationship that you're creating through consciousness. I feel this way because of this. This is what I would like to happen going forward. Healthy boundary. You've stood up for yourself. You've made it known that you don't deserve less than. And this is what they can do about it. If they do it, great. If they don't, you walk away, go into consciousness, do the right work. Now, when setting a boundary, one additional pointer to make, set the boundary with the knowledge and knowing that it is changing. There's no point setting the boundary and then going, oh, well, they never change, because that just doesn't help you, does it? It's just going to further accentuate how they aren't going to change, keeping them the same way. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is poison as point 1, as how to deal with it in the 3D. There are plenty of other ways you can deal with resentment and anger. I put 2 of the main ones here. I do have a worksheet that's only like £2, £3, where it goes over a few other ways that you can deal with resentment. Go check that out on my website if you're interested. But that is poison. Now, bear with me again while I rub this off. But point number 2, and this, of course, is going to be focused on manifestation. I mean, all of that, what I just discussed there, is going to help your manifestation. The breath work, the changing the stories, the identifying with a new self, the letting go of the anger, and so on. That's all going to help you with with the manifestation side of things. So take it on board. But now let's get into the actual meat and gravy of manifestation. And that is the law. Now, I could put law of assumption. I could put law of attraction. I could put law of action, law of detachment, whatever law that YouTube has come up with, the people on YouTube have come up with. For this, I'm just going to put the law of consciousness, because our consciousness is what creates. All of the different laws out there have their place. I abide by the principles of law of assumption more so because they make me feel like I have more control than, say, law of attraction, which is very much sit in an energetic space, and whatever the universe brings you will align to that. And it's a little bit less specific, and there's a lot more limiting beliefs within the law of attraction community generally. But every single law has its place. The law of attraction, the idea of sitting and being magnetizing and letting things come to you, that creates a good bloody life overall. The law of assumption helps you create specifics. The law of detachment allows things to flow. The law of action ensures that you're taking beneficial action towards what you're working towards, things like that. They all have their place. So for this, I'm just sticking with the law of consciousness. Now, the law of consciousness regarding this scenario, resentment is like drinking poison, hoping the other person dies, leaving you painful. Letting go, this chain freedom. When you consider the effects of holding on to that emotion from a manifestation perspective, you are just recreating the same butthole of a person that you have been dealing with. Because in order for you to be thinking something negative about that person and subsequently ingesting your own emotional poison, you are just saying this person, we'll say Gary, you are just saying that Gary is exactly whatever it is that you are thinking that is making you ingest that poison. Gary is an asshole. Gary made me angry. I'm now sitting in a space of anger at Gary. Why am I angry at Gary? Because Gary is an asshole, thus recreating that Gary is an asshole. So from a manifestation perspective, by holding on to these emotions, you are literally saying to yourself, to the subconscious mind, to the universe, source, God, whatever term you would like to chuck there, Gary is the same as he was when he made me feel that way. Please create more of it. Now, again, going back to the point one, I am not saying to forgive Gary for Gary's sake. You're not forgiving him so that he can get away scot-free. You're forgiving him, or at least what happened, obviously setting that boundary where necessary, so that you can finally let go, finally free yourself. And if by holding on to anger, you keep recreating a butthole Gary, by letting go of anger, doing the breath work, changing the stories, setting the boundaries where necessary, you are now allowing for a less butthole Gary to be in place. Because by letting go, you are saying that version of Gary doesn't exist anymore. You then do the manifestation work. Gary is an angel, which subsequently helps you create Gary being an angel. So we're not letting go to let him get off scot-free. Hell no. He did something to you. She did something to you. Whoever it is, they've done something to you. It is what it is, basically. Obviously, to a degree, you know, if they killed your puppy, that's a whole different story. And I think maybe you should bin Gary altogether under those instances, because I think that can't be forgiven under any circumstance. But like, let's, you know, leaving you on red, you know, being a bit angry with you, posting stories with someone else online while you're manifesting them. Of course, this would take that inner work as well. I'm not saying to just basically sit there and take it, quote unquote. But by letting go and doing the first side of things, the poison side, you're helping your emotional well-being and your mental well-being. By choosing to let go of the poison, stop drinking it, free yourself by doing the breath work, by setting the boundaries, whatever is necessary based on that first point, you're freeing yourself, which is all this is about. This has nothing to do with them, letting them get off scot-free, making you be a doormat. You are freeing yourself from the clutches of what happened, allowing you to move forward, creating the version of them that you would like to actually experience. And that is the manifestation side of things. Now, of course, if you would like a little bit of like a routine, and I tell this in most videos because it's the one that I found to be the most effective. But we've got morning, 5 to 10 minutes of some form of work, affirmations, visualizations, visualizing Gary or affirming Gary to be his next best self. Same thing with the evening, because that starts your day in the end state and that ends your day in the end state. And in the morning, just after you've woken up, and in the evening, just before you're falling asleep, you're naturally in that alpha brainwave state that I told you about, because you're coming from delta into lighter sleep, which is theta, and then into sort of relaxed, drowsy, sleepy, conscious state, which is alpha, which we already know makes the submind more receptive. So by doing work in those times, you are literally making it easier for yourself to manifest. And then as you go through your day, I don't know what symbol to put that, D for day. Whenever the thoughts come to mind, just, breathe deep, let go, affirm, visualize, whatever. And this just helps keep you topped up. If we take some more amazing artwork, I have to remember what they look like. I think there's a little base there. Yeah. Something like this. Oh, he might have just gone and done it. I don't know. I think you get what I'm trying to draw. It's meant to be one of the balancing scales. It's all about your dominant state that manifests. So this is negative state, this is positive state. Morning and night, you're adding some weight onto the dominant state. As you go through your day, a negative thought comes up, which makes the negative go down a bit, but then you catch it, you breathe, you redirect, which then makes that go back up because you've added more weight onto the positive. It's basically like topping yourself up. It's being reactive, but in a positive way. If you can do that, if you can understand that holding on to that anger and resentment is only harming your manifestation, subsequently doing point one, poison, you are going to ensure that that dominant state towards your desire is resolving, allowing for you to experience a less but holy Gary and a more unicorny Gary. But that is point two. Now, point three. Let me just leave you in a mild bit of suspense while I rub some of this out. Actually, you know what? Tell you what I'll do. I'll advocate some of my stuff while I rub this out, just to kind of save you some time. So I've recently just made the Academy a monthly membership, as opposed to being just a payment plan, access for life thing, to make it more accessible to more people. And I'm going to put up on the screen right now a comment that I received from one of the people on the membership about how great it is. On the membership, you get all of my courses, you get all of my exclusive videos, you get every one of my products, you get every one of my all of my products for free, you get all of my services, one-on-one services at a 25% discount, and more. So if you're looking for more of manifestation stuff, if you're looking to really make a difference and you want to be part of a private group where they have access to me every single day, tons of stuff, access to each other, courses and all that good stuff, then definitely be sure to check out the Academy. It's linked below. It's cancel anytime. So if you really wanted to, you could just join for a month, grab all the stuff and then dip. It's there for you in the way that you want to use it. But I'm constantly updating the Academy, so you would want to stay a member for good. Which is why I urge you to do the payment plan to become a lifetime member. Because once the payment plan is done, you are there in for good. Never going to be asked for another penny. And you get anything that ever gets announced going forward from here to be added to you. Now, point three, stories. They may have done something that annoyed you, that upset you, that angered you, that is objectively wrong. Like if he calls you or she calls you a dick over text, that isn't a nice thing. That is an objectively not nice thing. But, and again, it slips my mind who said this statement, so please forgive me on that, but another one to add to your mental inventory. We see the world, our little globe, that's actually not a bad little world, I like that one. We see the world as we are, not as it is. So we see it through our eyes, not as it objectively is. Now, what does this mean? Well, the same thing can happen to two different people and have two different reactions from those people. Let's say you've got a really low self-concept and I have a really high self-concept. If you're left on red by someone, that could be the end of the world. We're going to do a little mushroom cloud for this one. That's meant to be a mushroom cloud. That could be the end of the world. Oh, he doesn't want me. She doesn't want me. I'm not good enough. I'm never going to be good enough. Accentuated points of how things are terrible. I get left on red with my high self-esteem. I don't know what to draw for relax. I'm just going to draw some lovely little waves because the sea is relaxing. I sit back and go, your loss. Oh, well, on to the next. That person's showing me attention anyway. Why the fluff would I care that you've left me on red? You are just a person in billions. You are just a person in millions that would be attracted to me. I ain't gonna worry. Low self-concept. High self-concept. So when it comes to resentment, letting go, boundaries, the idea of someone doing something negative to you, the higher your self-concept is, the less affected you will be by negative experiences, which will lead you to having a greater time letting go. If I got left on red now, let's, for argument's sake, say that I'm not in a relationship. If I get left on red now, it would genuinely not concern me whatsoever. Meaning I would harbor no ill will, resentment, anger, or anything like that toward anybody that I am talking to. If Katie broke up with me right now, outside of obviously the normal sadness, we've got a family together, we've got a house together, there's obviously objective things that would be sad. But compared to where I was when Katie first broke up with me all those years back and now, I would be much better dealing with it now than I would back then. Because of my heightened self-concept, because of my self-assuredness, because of my self-confidence, because of the fact that I built up my stories to be all beneficial for me. Obviously, there would be sadness and stuff there. There always will be. But who I am today, compared to who I was before, is leaps and bounds. So bad stuff happening to me today has very little effect compared to bad stuff happening to me before. If you're struggling with resentment towards your specific person, if you're struggling to let go of the way that they made you feel, check with yourself. Have you built up a strong enough foundation within yourself to say, with or without you, I'm good? Because if the answer is no, start doing that. Because if you start doing that, you will have an easier time letting go of the negative things, which actually allows them to come in better. It's so backward. I get it. As I'm saying this stuff, I understand that it sounds so backward. But the better off you are on your own, with or without them, the better off you are on your own, with or without them, the more they will come to you. Because you're now not sat in lack. You're now not sat in need or obsession or desperation. And you're now not sat in spaces of holding on to resentment or feeling low or seeing the world blowing up because you don't see yourself very well. And you're now free, coupled with point 1 of the law, doing the manifestation work, point 2, and point 1 of actively letting go of the way that you see them, you will, ladies and gentlemen, change the consciousness you have around your person. You will change the consciousness you have around your experiences. You will change the consciousness you have regarding that 3D reality. And if you've done that, nothing, and I mean nothing, not his mum, not her dad, not the gay best friend, not any of that excuses that the 3D gives you, none of that will get in the way. You will manifest your person. You will have a good time manifesting them. You'll have a good time letting go of all of those pains, those aches, the sadness, the resentment, and you will finally see the world as you are and that world actually be good. You will see the world as you are, which will create a happy you. I'll rub off the rest at the end, but there you go, ladies and gentlemen. 35 minutes. Yeah, 35 minutes of me explaining to you how to move through negative emotions while manifesting a specific person. Stop drinking your own poison. Start telling yourself that you have them the way that you want to have them, instead of telling yourself how much of an asshole they are through the arguments and such things. Start shifting your stories so you're not even affected by them as much. I hope I've timestamped this video. If I remember to, I'm very bad at remembering that. Tell you what, if I haven't timestamped them, comment below that I haven't timestamped them, and I'll go back through and timestamp them for you. If you need to go back and watch any particular point, I urge you to do so. This was an in-depth video. It looks like a really mad face. This was an in-depth video, so you might have needed to take some notes. You might need to watch again. If you've enjoyed this whiteboard video, please let me know. I like doing them. I understand that there may be a bit more waffling on, but I think the presentation and stuff will help keep you interested. Is there anything else I need to say? Is there anything else that I need to say? No, I think that is it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being here with me. If you need any one-to-one help, if you want me to help you with your stories, actually, let me give you a little example of how to work through your stories. Actually, I realized I didn't do that. Let me just give you a very brief example. I am not good enough. That's a story you've got, and that's a story because of how your mum or dad treated you as a kid. They didn't love you as much as they should have done. They always prioritized work. They always prioritized new boyfriends or things like that. They made you feel not good enough. You would only get love if you did something exceptional, which now makes you feel like you have to do things exceptional just to get the bare minimum from your person. You don't. You can be you and get love. Trust me. What do we do with this? Well, if that's the story in place that's creating you feeling so upset and angry when they don't show you love because it just accentuates how your mum and dad made you feel, then we want to basically cross out that story. If your story is I'm not good enough, and that makes you have all of this stuff that I've written on this board today, I am good enough. That's replacement. I am good enough. Or if you want to revise it, and I've told this before in one of my previous videos, you want to add always in it. I have always been good enough. Helps you revise those previous stories. So what I urge you to do, get yourself a notepad and pen and write down any story that is going on that could be keeping you stuck in this. So not good enough, he's a bit of a player, she's a bit promiscuous, what are some other ones? I'm always the second choice, always the bridesmaid, never the bride kind of thing. Whatever stories are going on up there, write them out. And then on the next page, sorry, Mr. Resentment Face, I need this little space. See, look, we've done some of the work today, so he's half gone. He's half let go. There you go. Symbolism. Making shit up as I go along. My throat hurts. On the next page, you literally just write the opposite. So if I'm not good enough is point 1, I am good enough is point 2. If they're too much of a player to settle down as point 2, I'm the one that's making them ready and willing to commit, point 2. Just simply inverse those stories. When those stories come to mind as you go through your day, just replace them with this new and more favorable stuff. That's that. It's so simple. And if you think it's too simple to be true, that right there is a story that's holding you back. Start assuming that everything is simple for you. I hope you've enjoyed this video, ladies and gentlemen. My throat hurts, so I'm gonna go get a drink. If you have enjoyed this video, be sure to let me know in the comment section below. I do genuinely enjoy doing these, so if you would like more, I would be more than happy to do so. And I'll also try and figure out how to actually make this a little bit more appealing, like with the lighting and stuff. I'm actually currently in my daughter's room because every other room in the house seems to have things on the walls. So this was the only one that had enough free space for this. And it's propped on a table and then on an upside down washing basket. Yay! But yeah, if you have enjoyed this video, please do let me know. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you're new here, drop me a like on this video, because the likes and the comments and watching all the way through helps the algorithm. It helps push it out for more people and it helps the channel grow. If you do need any one-to-one help, I do have services available, but right now I would honestly urge people to join the Academy more so because the Academy gives you discounts on services anyway, 25%, which is nothing to scoff at. And and that's on all services. And even the Manifest For You service is actually 50% off. So that's pretty considerable. But you also get all the courses, you get a part of the private Telegram group, you get every one of my products for free, hundreds or over 100 exclusive videos, and more. So I would urge you to do that because there's so much information, and I will put up a little thing from one of my members about how amazing it is to join. Do yourself a favor. But thank you very much for being here with me. I really enjoy being here with you today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.